People love to rank things. Why else would bad channels like WatchMojo be so popular? It's because people naturally like to rank things according to their favorites or which ones they think are the best. And I'm one of those people. So, for my Genius Hour project, I'm going to build off the last one I did from quarter 1 and indulge in ranking my top 10 favorite Vocaloids. But, before we start, if you don't remember from my last project, Vocaloid is a voice synth program made by the Japanese company Yamaha Corporation. The Vocaloid software allows artists to make music using virtual singers. All you have to do is buy a singer that you like, called Vocaloids themselves, and then plug them into the program and type in the lyric you want them to sing. Exactly how these virtual singers are made are a bit complicated to explain, so I'll just use an example. The Vocaloid Aaaaaa was made by taking recordings of the Japanese singer Leah, saying all the sounds in the Japanese language and putting them in a database called a voice bank. Aayaa's design is just a mascot used to sell Leah's voice. Nowadays, this concept has formed a very large and vibrant community of visual artists, songwriters, composers, and fans from around the world. And as niche as this may sound, there are still 85 different Vocaloids released as of now. So, for my project, I'll be ranking my top 10 favorites. The criteria for this ranking are the design, the vocals, and the songs using them. After I give a general review of the Vocaloid, I'll play 3 songs using their voice bank that I generally enjoy so you can get a feel for them. Well, this goes without saying, but this list is very subjective. With 85 options, there's a high chance I have a different opinion from you. And that should be fine. Everyone's entitled to be wrong. With all that being said, let's get started. Starting us off at the bottom of our list is Uni. She's a Korean Vocaloid with lots and lots of untapped potential. Her design is certainly reminiscent of Hatsune Miku, and while she does lose some points for being mildly derivative with her design, it's still well done and unique enough to be distinguishable. Her voice is very nice to listen to. It's very clear, yet still bubbly and energetic. However, the Korean Vocaloid scene is very, very small, so I can't rank her very high due to me just not having a lot of examples of her singing. Here's some examples of what I could find, though. 감정이라는 꽃은 짧은 순간 피어나는 걸 지금 하나 없이 완벽했던 십자가를 넘어 낯선 파란빛이 파고들어 어지럽힌 건 내 스타일의 눈 깜짝할 그 순간 번져버린 너라는 전혀 나한테는 관심 없어 어떤 점이 싫은 건지 알려달래 역시 나한텐 관심 없잖아 눈에 수만 지적거리네 아직까지 나한테 관심 없잖아 조금 정도는 기대하게 하라고 하는 걸 믿고 늘어져 날 자꾸 흔들지 마 아니 도대체 거기서 빗자루 나왔다면 다시는 결정하기 위해서 왔지 Number 9 is the Vocaloid Mo Qingxian. She is a Vocaloid I learned a lot more about during my now scrapped original draft where I was going to read all of the Vocaloids. Ridiculous, I know. But, Mo took me by surprise in all honesty. She's a part of the main Chinese group of Vocaloids called V-Singers and one of the last released under this banner. She has a very elegant voice and design, but tracking down songs for her was a bit of a hassle. You see, China has most social media apps blocked for their citizens. This includes YouTube, which is the main hub for Vocaloid. Because of this, the Chinese Vocaloid scene is super insular, and most Chinese songs would just have been completely unknown to me if it wasn't for the work of YouTuber MarsCloud39, who catalogs many songs by all of the Vocaloids, and the Vocaloid wiki linking some of her notable tracks. These are some of the standouts I found using her. Coming in at number 7 is the first ever Chinese Vocaloid, Mo and Tianyi. She's kind of like the Hatsune Miku of China. I have her ranked higher than Mo San simply because she is used in songs that are more to my personal taste. I think they're about equal design-wise, with Tianyi being more on the cute side while Mo's more elegant. Regardless, her voice is also very bubbly like Uni's while being much more powerful. She also has a very solid Japanese voice bank. As said before, Chinese Vocaloid songs are much harder to find on YouTube, so this first song will be a duet with Yanhei. For number 7, we have Otamachi Una. Una was a pretty popular Vocaloid a couple years back with a very loud and bright-sounding voice. Her design is pretty interesting, with her big hat giving her a pretty distinguishable silhouette. And when she's used well, her insanely powerful voice sounds really good. Unfortunately, despite her previously notable fan base, I wasn't able to find a lot of songs using her that I'm actually partial to. So the second song here will be a duet with Maknae Nana. Coming in at number 6 is Maika Mikoto, who is the newest Vocaloid on the list and half of a duo. Their matching voice bank, Maika Hime, is less appealing vocal-wise, in my opinion. They're the first Vocaloid on my list to have a more male-sounding voice, something that most Vocaloids tend to struggle with. However, Mikoto manages to pull it off with a boyish tone, but still a pretty decent range. And they're just a generally unique voice that I quite enjoy. Their design is also very cute. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to find original songs with him since he's such a new voice bank, so his first song will be a cover duet with Maika Hime. Only halfway through our list at number 5, and the face of Vocaloid makes her grand appearance. Hatsune Miku is by far the most iconic and popular Vocaloid, and while iconography and popularity don't always equal quality, it's hard to argue that Miku isn't one of the best. She has the vast majority of all Vocaloid songs under her belt, an iconic and easily recognizable design, and a voice bank with some insane flexibility. The only reason she's ranked here is because I have a soft spot for the other Vocaloids above her. And for me, I value Miku more for her incredible songs that producers use her in, rather than the Vocaloid herself. I'm just personally a fan of more unique vocals, and I don't think her design is all that interesting. However, she's still used in some of my absolute favorite songs. Coming in at number 4, we have a paired entry with Kajmin Rin and Kajmin Len. These two Vocaloids are sold and packaged together similar to the Micas. Rin is the female vocalist while Len is the male one. However, Len doesn't have a very deep range, but instead a higher one similar to Makoto. That's because him and Rin have the same female voice provider. Even just outside of their vocals, both of their concepts and use in the community also complement each other. Rin has some of my favorite songs and I prefer her design, but I like Len's voice by how he's characterized more by the community and in concerts. Both of their high notes sound really good, and I absolutely love the crispness of their voice banks. And since these two are most well known as a duo, the last song here will be a duet. With the Kajmins out of the way, we are now entering the top 3. To me, these 3 are my absolute favorite Vocaloids. I'm not going to sit here and argue that they're the best, but at this time they hold the ranking as my absolute tops. So, let's get started. Coming in at number 3 is the popular Vocaloid, Gumi. Most Vocaloid fans, including myself, very much so thoroughly enjoy her. She has a deeper vocal than Miku, but still has lots of potential for higher notes as well. She has a solid English voice mix as well, though that didn't play much of a factor in her ranking. Her official artwork isn't always the best, but her fan interpretations are very solid and give a lot of life to her character. Tonally, I really like how her voice sounds. It adds a really unique sound to most of her covers. It's kind of hard to explain, but it just sounds really nice. Here are some of my favorite songs that use her. And my runner-up spot is the scene's darling of the hour, Flower. She's a V3 and V4 voice bank with a surprisingly deep vocal. I didn't even know Flower was a girl until I looked it up. But that's really just one of the strengths of her voice. Her range is absolutely incredible, hitting both very high and low notes with lots of power. Her design is also very cool. I love the boyish hair and the arm sleeves. As someone who more recently joined the Vocaloid fandom, I have been getting so much exposure to her voice just because of how many newer producers use her. She's one of the most popular Vocaloids out right now, and I can see why. She's just overall very impressive, and, well, here's some of that high-quality stuff. Before we get to my number one pick, I'll list off my top 3 honorable mentions. These 3 are Maikahime, Kayuki, and Yuzuki Yukari. Maikahime is Mikoto's matching voice bank and has the sweeter and cuter vocals of the pair. Her design is a little bit better than Mikoto's in my opinion, but I like his voice and songs more. Kayuki is a very soft vocal who has been very much so underused by the scene. Her design is quite cute and I really like the uses of her voice. Yuzuki is by far the most popular of the 3, and she's got quite the variety of solid designs and songs. I'm not quite sure how to describe that voice, but I think she's solid. Consider her the unofficial number 11. And with that out of the way, let's get on to my number 1. Finally, taking my number 1 spot, we have Aaaaaa. Aaaaaa is a beautiful V3 vocalist with a very high-pitched range and lots of power and emotion behind her voice. I love her design. The long hair and the loose braids are beautiful and contrast wonderfully with her clothing style. Her voice sounds so emotional and real when she holds notes. It's very impressive for B3 software. I ended up learning about her through a concert I originally saw on YouTube where she performed the song A Realistic Logical Ideologist. I was immediately drawn to her voice and design and just the rhythm of the song in general. And since then, I've always been looking out for more songs by her, and she's very quickly developed into my favorite. She's just so pretty, and her voice is also very pretty, and here are some of my favorite songs that use her.